Stop scrolling because this is definitely the sign you asked for. From a very early age, I loved music. I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be on stages all across the world, and I gave over 20 years of my life to secular music. I lived a very provocative, uncensored, worldly lifestyle, making my body the focal point for the center of attention. Lots of heavy makeup, lots of distasteful language and choices, and lots of all the things that God's Word distinctively warns us against. You know how sometimes you know what you're doing is not your purpose in life, but you keep going in that same direction and then something changes. You start to feel drawn to something greater. You start to realize that God is calling you. It's happened to me. I cleaned out my closet, completely felt the need to purge my physical atmosphere, starting with everything I was putting on my body. It was like I could feel this tug on my spirit. I started to change my lifestyle. Out of nowhere, it seems like I developed this overwhelming urge to start caring for my skin, which I have never done. I wanted to stay consistent with my upkeep and my regimens. It was almost like I could tell that my time for all the heavy makeup was coming to an end, and I wanted to be prepared for it. I started getting facials. I started making sure I was keeping up with my products and my routines. This literally became my life. I started to find myself more and more comfortable without makeup on. I also started to realize that I cared a lot about the personal moments that I had been missing, especially with my daughter. One day while we were on our daily walk, I captured this picture that I knew represented how God cared for me and held my hand. I don't know, I began to read more, and most importantly, I began to write. Out of nowhere, never had a desire to be an author whatsoever. And again, I could feel my spirit calling me to this spiritual assignment. So much to the point that I went as far as to make sure that my book was copywritten. I started to take care of my body and work out, like really got in the gym. Suddenly, my physical, mental, and spiritual health aligned, and I had a desire to care for all of the above. Consistency began to build. I started to see results in the way that I felt, not just physically, but in all aspects of my life. I was finally getting stronger. My resilience, my discipline, my commitment, every aspect of my life, especially mentally, started to grow. I found myself so many times thinking like, who is this person? What is happening? I kept pushing. I kid you not, like this became my complete everyday normalcy. I thought about it every single day, and I wanted to make sure that what I was doing long term would stick. Like I didn't want this to be a fad type of situation, but more and more, it continued to build and build and build. Before I knew it, this became my everyday life. I felt out of place when I didn't do these things. I started to even notice things like plants around me. I found plants and got plants that I started to nurture because I felt like I needed to pour into something. I started to attend church on a regular, like I did not miss a single solitary Sunday. It was like once I did the small things, I started to hear God telling me He required more. And that's when I felt my spirit leading me to be baptized, to wash myself of my past sins, my nature, and my lifestyle. This started to impact everything, even my diet. Out of the blue, and mind you, I am a chef, I started to have a desire to change my eating habits. Like I cold turkey went completely vegan, And then because I was losing so much weight, I decided to eventually incorporate becoming a pescatarian into my diet because, yeah, I was like, I don't want to be this small. But nonetheless, you're talking about discipline, growth, mandatory consistency. Like, if I could give up food and the things that I loved food-wise, this was huge. This picture I did a little bit longer because I'm a chef and I had to make sure that I, made sure to give props to my salmon. But anyway, I stuck to it. Like, the first thing that I felt like I was ever truly consistent in my life, even down to eating things that I normally would not have eaten. And they were on point too. A lot of people would see the things that I would post and they would tell me, like, if this is what being vegan looks like, I'm here for it. I can do this. There's so many variations and so many ways to change up your diet and still enjoy the things that you love. It just feels different in your body. And that's what this is about, right? Then I go on this little journey and I see this sign, stay on the path. I started to mentor. I launched my mentorship company and mentored so many women, so many teens. It was like God was telling me, stop and smell the roses. Then it bled into my professionalism. I did my first legit vision board, and I started to speak and live simultaneously what I wanted. All my advancements with my new profession started to manifest. And I ended up really, really on stages in a way that's so major that it changes the lives of other people around me as well as mine. And that is why your opportunity is now. If you're ready to change every single outcome of your life, if you want to become the person who deserves and effortlessly attracts and manifests your dreams into reality, make sure you join me in my 3-day Women's Wealth Intensive. DM me now for details.